to look at an application in its entirety. So we take an entire application, we load it into an inventory and build a knowledge base. Now from that knowledge base we can extract various information such as metrics around, what's the functional point analysis of the code? How strong is the metrics and the maintainability of that code? Is there any dead code within that code? So traditionally programs get developed over a period of time and you end up with redundant functionality within that code. So we assist organisations through tooling in identifying that redundant code. So it leaves the code much, much cleaner. Similarly, when you're looking at source code, you have potentially there are different patterns that help you analyse where security flaws specifically exist within code. And also you can pretty much define rules really in terms of functionally, what kind of structure do you want modules to adhere to? And so we have tooling once again that helps organisations to analyse their code from that perspective. And from security assembly, one of the kind of aspects that people do is they take a seed element. So they want to know really, if I change one element of code, what's the impact to all other elements within those within the application. So we have a traceability of a single change through an entire application. And once again, that helps to determine some level the security of that code. Many organisations at the moment use their production data within their test environment. And the main reason for this is that when you're testing the system, you really want to have the ability to make sure your testing is fairly functional. And so every application has a unique profile in terms of data. And the easiest way usually to get that profile is to take your production data. Now, the downside of doing that, it opens up a security flaw. And so whereas companies spend a large amount of their budgets protecting their security of their production data, they spend very little time protecting their test data in a similar way. Unfortunately, many of these companies actually use their real production data inside these test environments. Now there's two issues with that. First of all, there's obviously the compliance and the security flaws that could be released from that. But second to that, these are usually very vast test beds of data. So what we do, we assist the organisations really in, first of all, subsetting that data. So rather than using a vast amount of terabytes of data, we assist them in basically subsetting that to a much smaller volume of data. Now that has two net effects. The first one, it means that the test sets are more controllable, the data is more controllable. But secondly, the execution of those test cycles is now much faster, and the storage costs and the CPU costs behind running a test cycle are greatly reduced. So it provides saving in itself. Now second to that, we help them with something we call masking. So masking really is about data privacy, data protection. It's the ability to identify basically which aspects of production data you want to basically mask, so that in your test data, while the profile of the data remains, the core information basically becomes masked, so you can't identify real production data from your test data.